through winter coat drives, child-haven dinners, and even selling tickets at the Festival of the Trees. The members of the National Honor Society are among the most driven students at our high school, and the majority of them will pursue their educations at the collegiate level. Every inductee present tonight should be very proud, for they are about to enter an organization that few students have the ability to enter. Again, welcome. At this time, I'd like to introduce our sponsor, Ms. Janet Hunter, who will introduce our guests tonight.
Thank you. There are a couple of people that I'd like to introduce. First of all, our administrative staff, because they are so supportive of our organization. That would be Mr. Frank Stemick, our principal, and our assistant principals, Ms. Joanne Johnson, Mr. Dave Wilden, and Mr. Rocky Moore. I'd like to introduce my co-sponsor, Mr. Marvin McIntyre. Even though he says he only comes to the meetings for the donuts, he does do a few other things. This year's officers of the National Honor Society are Matt McCord for President, who you've already met, Brittany Price, Vice President, Sarah Shropshire, Secretary, and Shannon Rowe, Treasurer. These kids have been at every meeting and lead us well. I'd also like to give a special thank you to all of the committee heads for the induction ceremony. I think the old adage, if you need something done, ask a busy person, is true, because all of these kids are involved in multiple activities. The setup committee was led by Clint Dowdy. Invitations were done by Megan Sandbotney. The program was done by Paul Reen. The certificates by Derek Perry. Refreshments was headed up by Kayla Kester. And the cleanup committee is Jason Calcote. Anybody else who wants to help? At this time, I'd like to have all the current members of National Honor Society stand up to be recognized for your high achievement. They may all be out setting up the refreshments. Finally, I'd like to introduce our guest speaker for this evening, Mr. Tom Sullivan, who is the Superintendent of Farmington Municipal Schools.
Good evening, and thank you, and welcome. I'm looking out at people who found an effective use for the programs and they're fanning themselves with them, and this lady here was well prepared. She's got the real deal. This room is marginally cooler than the Spotlight Theater where we've had this activity in previous years, but not that much cooler, so I promise to be brief. And I'm going to digress from that and tell you a short story that explains why I believe it is important to be brief. And I probably have told this in a place where two of you have been before, so you'll have to bear with me. But I think it makes the point, and you'll appreciate why I'm going to speed it up then. An elderly gentleman passes away in a Midwest town after a long and loving marriage of over 50 years. And his wife, though certainly grieving, is just so supportive and so wanting to share her experiences in that marriage with the community that she's moved to write an obituary that goes into glowing detail, that outlines his contributions to his community, the kind of father and parent and husband he'd been, and so on and so forth. And she takes this letter down to the local newspaper, and she's filled up 3 pages, single-spaced, every possible square inch of that page. And she takes it down to the editor, who's an old-time friend, and realizes, among other things, that she's going to be a little bit strapped and stressed for financial resources as a widow. And but he reads the obituary, and it brings a tear to his eye. I mean, it is a glowing tribute to a long life. And then he says, "That's wonderful, but I got to tell you, there's a problem with this." She says, "What's the problem?" "Well, we actually charge by the word, and it's a quarter a word, and I'm concerned about your finances to run such a long story like that." And the woman acknowledges, "Yeah, I guess that could be a problem." So she snatches the paper back from him and turns it over, and on the blank side, writes it real quickly and hands it back to the editor. She has written, "John Brown died." She's gone from thousands of words to 3. And the editor says, "Well, I'm sorry I seem to have forced you into that kind of a situation. I didn't mean for you to, go that far in the other direction. Now I'm feeling badly, but I'm going to feel even worse when I tell you that there's another problem here. We have a 7-word minimum." The woman doesn't skip a beat. She takes the page back, adds to what she's already written, hands it back to him, and now it says, "John Brown died, Ford truck for sale." So brevity has its place at certain functions, and maybe this is one. But I do want to take a few moments, first of all, to honor these young people here before us this evening, and to thank some other people that I think contributed to bringing them here before us this evening. I'd like to add my congratulations and thanks to Ms. Hunters for Mr. Stimmick and his administrative team's leadership. I think it's been a great year carrying on the tradition at Farmington High School, and I've truly enjoyed working with Frank this year. I add my congratulations to Marv and Janet, and I don't believe for a minute that Marv was only there for donuts. And of course, I'd like to acknowledge all of the staff members that motivate and encourage and help make these young people's educational experience top-notch. Again, parents, we understand that without your support, without your encouragement, without your setting goals and having expectations for your young people, that some of this would never happen. And so we appreciate what you've done in the years leading up to tonight and for the future as well. And finally, of course, these young people. I've been involved in education for over 30 years. I've attended lots of functions. As a high school principal, I was at ball games and concerts and plays and so on. But I got to tell you that the activities that I've been attending in the last few weeks are among my favorites. And actually, I go back a little bit further to the science fair competition that culminated with awards assembly there at the Farmington Civic Center. And then, more recently, the Junior National Honor Society induction ceremony up at San Juan College. Last night, Farmington High School's Advanced Placement Pep Talk, what I guess is what it would qualify as. And now another opportunity like this with the induction of another group of young people into the National Honor Society. These are my favorites. Now, I know that any number of you are involved in those other activities. You're involved in sports, you're involved in drama, you're involved in choir and band and orchestra. But we don't often enough acknowledge the accomplishments of the academicians and the leaders. And that's what this organization is about. This organization is about blending those two skills and encouraging and giving opportunities to these young people to take the next step, to take the talents that they've either been God-given or woven to some extent by themselves with the help of teachers and parents like yours, but also that they've been willing to take the challenges that have been placed in front of them. And I think any number of you would probably prefer to be out and about on a nice, it's May now, isn't it? It's not even April, but a nice spring evening instead of probably having to leave here and go home and prepare a paper. Last evening, one of the AP teachers wanted us to speed up the banquet because the kids had to get home and read an English assignment. These kids forego some things because they have their priorities in order. And it's interesting that the ones that are involved in multiple activities are even more successful because they've learned how to budget time, and they've learned again to set priorities, and they've learned to be self-disciplined and have goals. And I think that that's going to serve each and every one of them extraordinarily well in their future lives. I think they've made us proud in the past. I know they make each and every one of us proud this evening, and I'm absolutely dead set confident that this group of young people will make their families and their community proud of them again in the future. So with that, I want to congratulate you, wish you well, and please please keep up the good work. Thank you very much.
All right, we'll begin the candle lighting ceremony, and we begin with scholarship. And scholarship means a commitment to learning. A student is willing to spend hours of reading and study, knowing the lasting benefits of a cultivated mind. We should continue to learn even when formal education has ended, for education ends only with the end of life. Knowledge is one great element in life, which leads to the highest success, and it can be acquired in only one way, through diligence and effort. Learning furnishes the lamp by which we read the past, and the light which illuminates the future. Candidates have the charge to continually expand their world through the opportunities inherent in scholarship. I lit the candle of service. Service can be described in various ways. In the routine of the day's work, many opportunities arise to help others. Willingness to work for the benefit of those in need without monetary compensation or without recognition is the quality we seek in our membership. We are committed to the idea of volunteering our time and abilities to the creation of a better tomorrow. I lit the candle of leadership. Leadership should exert a wholesome influence on the school. In taking initiative in class and school activities, the real leader strives to train and aid others to attain the same objective. The price of leadership is sacrifice, the willingness to yield to one's personal interest for the interest of others. A leader has self-confidence and will go forward when others hesitate. No matter what power and resources may exist in the country, they are ineffectual without the guidance of a wise leader. Leadership is always needed. Thus, to lead is a substantial charge to each of our members.
I have lit the candle of character. Character is the force within each individual which distinguishes that person from others. It gives each one individuality. It is that without which no one can respect himself nor hope to attain the respect of others. It is this force of character which guides one through life, and when once developed, grows steadily. Character is achieved and not received. It is the product of constant action, daily striving to make the right choice. The problem of character is the problem of self-control. We must be, in reality, what we wish to appear to others. By demonstrating such qualities as respect, responsibility, trustworthiness, fairness, caring, and citizenship, we may hope to prove by example that we value character.
At this time, the candidates will rise and repeat the pledge. I pledge myself to purposes of the National Honor Society, to which I have been selected. I will be true to the principles for which it stands. I will be loyal to my school and will maintain and encourage high standards of scholarship, service, leadership, and character. As your name is called, please come forward and receive your certificate of membership in the National Honor Society. Go ahead and start from the left. Amy Alumni. Jessica Rings. Lindsay Ayers. Colette Barney. Amy Crawford. Jessica Colvin. June Cunningham. Rachel Dakin. Jared Dye. Monica Diaz. Brianna Dalton. Megan Dragon. Lindsay Fagrulius. Samuel Fairbanks. Jody Franklin. Kyle Frazier. Kristen Frederickson. Katie Esquin. Merrick Glover. Ricky Grimes. Nathan Henry. Lydia Hirsch. Heather Hidditz. Chris Hodges. Andrew Hopper. Colin Horvath. Jessica Jameson. Rochelle Jameson. Elizabeth Jensen. Penny Jinping. John Kelly. Carrie Kester. Jared King. Ethan Cockey. Heather Lee. Alan McCord. Kelly McCracken. David Emile. Brittany Marion. Michael Meyer. Brady Morris. Jennifer Nussbaum. Britton Lopez. Brittany Nichols. Melissa Parsons. Amanda Peck. Lisa Petty. Brett Phelps. Julia Phillips. Robert Cole Raybar. Nadia Farrell. John Oscar. Tucker Sanders. Megan Smith. Michelle Smith. Krista Smithwick. Amelia Simmons. Mary Thompson. Rocky Torres. Jennifer Trujillo. Ariel Vaughn. David Weeks. Kyle Wilkins. And Elizabeth Yaros. concludes our induction ceremony. Thank you all very much for coming. Parents, be very proud of your sons and daughters. They deserve your praise. Please join us for refreshments outside the door. Thank you and have a good night.